Hey, that's pretty good, but I'm not Jesus, so you got to do better than that. But come on, let's give him some praise. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. He is the reason. Amen. Thank you, guys. You can sit down. Hey, thank you so much for coming. It's a Friday night. And, man, don't we have some amazing talent? I mean, just some amazing talent. And, man, that was entertaining. If nothing else, it was inspiring and entertaining. And yeah, it was, that was awesome. And so I am just amazed at all that God has given us and blessed us with, and the people and you you guys represent such an incredible part and I guess you'd say integral part of everything that we do and every person we're able to reach. And so we wanted, there's several things. I'm gonna make you, we're gonna have a lot of fun, and we're about half done, so we're not gonna be here all night, so no worries. But I do want to start by saying thank you to you, and just for serving and for giving and for loving. And in our conference room we have some matrix of things that we keep up with, and we measure a lot of things. You can't manage what you can't measure, and God's given us something to manage. And so we want to make sure, I want to know before I get to heaven if we're at least on target. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't want to stand there thinking I did a good job and him say, son, you made it in, but you could have done more or something. I don't know. I want the well done. And so we measure. And so this past, we like salvations, baptisms, owners, all that kind of stuff. And we've got right at 200 people that have made decisions for Christ this year. And yeah. I think we're at 198 right now, and 33 baptisms for the year. And when I see that, yeah, I that's awesome. But when I see those numbers, I think about you, because all of those numbers are there because of you. You're the one serving and greeting and preaching the gospel to the kids and leading switch life groups and serving our teenagers and serving our kids, even when they don't wear deodorant, which I thought was funny, because if you've ever picked up a kid and walked into the Real 56 room on a Wednesday, for real, what PJ said was like, yeah, that's not keeping it real. That's keeping it ripe right there. That's a different kind of thing. But anyways, when I see those numbers, honestly, and we've got another baptism, and we already have people registering, which we don't have a lot of registration, especially a month out or 6 weeks out from a baptism. And so we'll probably set some kind of record at the next baptism. And so, yeah. And so when I see that, I really think about what we have called the Dream Team, and about you guys, and about your faithfulness. And I think probably, I wish sometimes I could give you my view, and the staff, we could give you our view, because I know when you're making the coffee, and when you're keeping the toddler, and when you're shaking hands, you probably, all you see is just people and toddlers. On our side, we get all the stories of life change and all the difference that you've made. And there wouldn't be, the people that have received Christ, we say it all the time, you serve people into the kingdom. You serve people into the kingdom. And you're the arm of the church. I think it was John Maxwell said, people don't care what you know until they know how much you care. And you're the showing them how much you care part of Pathway. The way they're greeted, the way they're taken care of, the way they're helped, the way they're served before they ever get into this room, before they ever hear the worship team, before they ever hear anything that I have to say. you're the ones that impacted them. You're the ones that prepared their hearts and softened their hearts and kind of got their guards down so they could hear the gospel. So when I look on that board and I see all those incredible numbers about the people that have been served and the people that have made decisions for Christ and the people that have been baptized and the people that are in life groups, and I look down at the number where right now it's like 406 people who serve on a dream team, and I think that's the number that creates all the other numbers. And so I want to say thank you to you. So why don't you give yourselves a hand, and I'll give you a hand. And so, all right. And so I want you to know I love you, and what you do matters, and you do make a difference. No matter what team you're on, how often you serve, you make a tremendous difference. And I am so grateful, and so is the staff. We are so grateful for you. It was also really cool to think that if 75% of our dream team could actually come to this event, I know some people already have football and whatever, but if 70, we couldn't actually fit in our building. Like we counted on half of our dream team not being able to be here so we could actually fit in the building. That's pretty cool right there, because I remember we put the whole church and everybody's mama in the building. And so, it's like, I remember that, right? So anyway, so I want to say a big thank you to you. And now I'm going to talk about what we're doing, because tonight is the final bow of the dream team, right? And so tonight, the dream team is officially ending. Bum, 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 right? Like, what does that mean? Aren't you glad you're here? Because you're going to not only know what that means, but you're going to leave here excited about some stuff. And so I'm so glad that you're here. What does it mean? It means this. It means that we have loved for nearly 9 years having a dream team and having all types of dream teams, whether it's the Tech Arts dream team, the worship team, the kids team, the hospitality team, the greeting team, the usher team, or now we just put everything together, the guest experience team, the prayer team, right? We have loved the muscle team. We have loved having all the teams and having the dream team. And we have loved that for 9 years. But as we started looking at moving forward, there were some culture shifts we wanted to make. There was some clarification that we wanted to give. And so as we sat, we did a planning session. We do this in the summers, but we do, we'll pencil out. We have different planning days throughout the day. And what I decided to do this summer, which we typically do, is we do an evaluation of how the church is doing. And so we call that Strat Ops. So we have some kind of strategy operation kind of lenses that we look at. And I won't walk through all that, but there's some exercises that I'll lead the team in. And in leading that in, we started identifying some of the things that we felt like we could improve. We have a value here that says if we can make it better, we're going to. So we don't ever have holy cows or sacred cows. If you're new to church, that doesn't make a lot of sense. But if you were raised in a church, you know there are still churches doing things and they don't know why they're doing it. But that's the way we've done it for 87 years. And by God, we're not changing now. Right? We'll still be doing this when the Titanic goes under, right? So anyways, but we're not married to anything like that. And so we're always looking at how can we make things better. It's like tomorrow we're launching a new way to do First Step. So if you've probably been to First Step. However, if you're new and you haven't been to First Step, tomorrow will be a good time because now it's an interactive experience and you're at tables with a table host who's a staff person, and it's not all classes and taught that way. So it's a lot of fun. I don't know if we have room. We had to move it in here because we couldn't fit it in the other room. I think we have 50 or so people that are going through First Step tomorrow. So, yeah. So every day the staff and I are reminded we need another building. By the way, you can pray, but it looks like we have a contract we can sign for our construction contract. And so we were on a conference call this week, and we got everybody to play nicely in the sandbox together, and everybody's excited to do it. So we have a contract we can sign. And so we'll hopefully, the elders and we're just doing one last review, and then we probably will sign it next week, and I'll let you know. But anyway, but we're reminded every day we need a new building. And so, yeah, we're going to be in here. Anyways, we found a way to make it better, and we feel like we found a way to make our Dream Team better, and the best way to do it was to change some things about it, and most importantly, change some emphasis and some culture. And so we're going to work on culture. And so I'm going to lay the groundwork, and then it's going to take us years, but you're going to help me because it is more powerful. Like I can say it, it's more powerful when you say it. And obviously, we're actually capturing this video tonight so we can send it to the rest of the church so that they know what we're doing before this weekend, so there's not pandalirium. And so, but they'll get to hear it like tomorrow, and you guys will know everything tonight. And you got Jesus chicken, which, yeah, was that not the best smelling room in the world? Like I would just walk in there and think, oh, the marriage supper of the Lamb right here. Like, oh, thank you, Lord. So tonight is the end of the Dream Team. So what are we doing? Well, we are starting a new team because we're all about teams. And so are you ready for this? It's simpler, but it's going to be deeper. And that is tonight we're starting what's called the Serve Team. The Serve Team. We wanted it, yeah. Now I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, oh, you just changed the name. No. There's a reason behind everything that we do. We wanted to, number one, make things simple. We also wanted to make things clear. And so for us, we have a value: save people, serve people. So obviously, we're not changing our mission or our vision or our values, right? But we wanted to become more clear about what we're trying to do. And what we found is, especially with new people coming to the church, we would say Dream Team, Dream Team, Dream Team. And they're like, what does the Dream Team do? Who is the Dream Team? And so what we decided to do was say, hey, we have a value: save people, serve people. Let's just simply use the word serve. And so we're working. In fact, we're creating icons for most of our ministry. So that's the serve icon. And that's just to bring some clarity to it. So it's obviously a spin off of our logo or graphic work or graphic design art, whatever we call it nowadays. But anyways, it's a spin. But that's now the Serve Team logo. And so we're creating the Serve Team. Now, number one, for clarity, we want everybody to clearly understand there's a Serve Team and save people, serve people. And if they're new to the church and we say Serve Team, that makes it really easy to grasp what that team does. But here's the biggest thing for us. We actually want to do some shifting in culture. And let me explain the biggest shift that we identified. We would like to shift from the idea of working to serving. Right? For us, anytime Jesus talks about working the works of God, he's actually talking about miracles. He's not talking about serving. And so to him, there's a big difference between the works we're called to do. In fact, the number one work we're called to do is believe. And then the greater works than these are actually ministry or miracles. In context, I'm just giving you your Bible in context. But he institutes in John 13 this value of serving. And he says this is the number one value in the kingdom. That's essentially what he's telling us. And so for us, what we know is people come from churches, and we have people that have never been in church. They're easier sometimes because if you come from church, like I came from churches, you have stuff. Like you have the way things were done and why they were done. And people fall into this, well, I have to work. You know, everybody's supposed to work a Sunday, so I got to work a Sunday. And all of a sudden, before long, what is supposed to be an honor turns into an obligation. And in the kingdom, serving is the highest honor you can have according to the teachings of Jesus. It is not an obligation at all. And if we're not careful, we will transition. Well, I got to work. Well, I got to work in 2s and 3s. Well, I got to work the hospitality. And what we want to do is take work out of our lexicon when it comes to serving. We want to talk about, I have the honor, I have the privilege. Today I have the opportunity to serve because that is what Jesus actually models for us. And to me, John 13 is where Jesus washes the disciples' feet. And I won't do a big preaching here because I'll preach this weekend because I preach most weekends. So I'm not going to preach to you because you'll be here this weekend probably serving. And so, so I'm not going to preach to you. But in John 13, you got to think about this is right before Jesus goes to the cross. I mean, this is at the Last Supper. So if you're Jesus and you're about to leave these 12 men that you are entrusting to them the responsibility of completing or carrying on your ministry and mission, then what happens here becomes probably more important than anything else. Wouldn't we all agree? And what happens there is Jesus takes his garments off and starts washing their feet. Like the picture, their last picture of Jesus besides praying in the garden is washing their feet. Their last encounter with Jesus is him washing their feet. And what Jesus actually says in John 13, verse 15, he says, I'm giving you an example. Another word would be model. I'm giving you a model, and here's what he says, that I want you to follow. In other words, I'm giving you a picture. Here's what he's saying. I'm showing you how the kingdom is supposed to work. I'm giving you a picture of the highest value in the kingdom. The highest value in the kingdom is serving. Save people, serve people. It's the highest value. And then he goes on, because then Jesus gets intense, because if you read what he says next, because then he says, do as I have done to you. And then he says this, I tell you the truth, slaves are not greater than their masters, nor is the messenger more important than the one who sends the message. Here's what Jesus is saying. If I'm serving and you don't serve, you're saying you're greater than me. Essentially, if serving is beneath you, so is Jesus. And I could just leave it there. Right? He's saying, he's saying this is our honor. Like, this is a privilege, right? And you know the story. Peter's like, no, you can't wash my feet. And Jesus is like, hey, if I don't wash your feet, then you have no part in me. And then, of course, Peter's like, well, wash my head too. Like, wash all over me. But here's what Jesus is saying. This is such an extreme value of the kingdom. This is how the kingdom works, is what he's saying. This is how the kingdom works, is serving. And here's what he's saying, is serving is beneath you, the kingdom is beyond you. If serving is beneath you, the kingdom is beyond you. That's why I celebrate you guys, because you've at least caught some part of that. Like, hey, this is how the kingdom works. We serve people into the kingdom. Like the way Jesus served us into the kingdom, we serve others into the kingdom. And so it's our honor to serve. It's not an obligation. It's an honor to serve. And the way we serve Jesus is by serving others. How you serve others tells us a lot about what you think about Jesus. I'll tell you a story. So we went to San Antonio, when was that, May? And so we're on family vacation in San Antonio down there with Shamu. Because somebody told us they're going to stop letting Shamu do his show. And we're like, no, we're getting in on some Shamu show before the weird people that say you can't have animals do certain things take over. Right? In our politically correct world. And so I'm not going to say what I think about that. I think it's stupid. But anyways, outside. Anyways, so we're down there. And so I don't remember. Mariah and Julie were going shopping, I think, or to look at something. We were by the mall, by the Alamo. And the boys and I were going to Dave & Buster's, because that's what we do. That's how we roll. Like shoe shopping, Dave & Buster's. Now, I do like shoe shopping. But I was with my boys. Anyway, so I'm an accessory guy. I don't know. I'm also very manly. I like gun shopping better than shoe shopping. But anyways, so before you think I'm weird, anyways. So, but the boys and I are so Julie and Mariah took off, and the boys and I are walking across the street, and I'm walking, there's this guy in a wheelchair, and it's obviously he had some deformed abnormalities, some deformed legs. And so I said hi to him, we're talking, and he says, hey, could you help me with something to eat? And I just told him my personal policy, and I'm just this way. I said, hey, I don't give money out, but I'll be glad to do something. I mean, there's Chipotle, there's McDonald's. And he was like, man, McDonald's sounds so good. I said, well, come on, we'll buy you some McDonald's. And so I asked him, like, hey, what do you want? And he's like, man, I don't care. Just a burger would be awesome. So I took the boys with me, and we walk inside, and I just had this thought. Like, I'm going to give him this in Jesus' name. I want to make sure it reflects that. So I ordered the biggest burger and had everything Biggie sized. Right? I don't even think this man's big enough to eat that. He could though, but I don't know. And so then I walked back out. He didn't go in with us because there was a lift to get up in there. And he said, I'll just wait here. So we go back. And I told the boys, I said, hey, if we're going to give him this in the name of Jesus, we're going to make sure it reflects that. And so I didn't know you could spend like $13 at McDonald's on one meal. I guess I don't eat there that much. When I grew up, everything like $3.99. But anyways, didn't matter. And I gave him a pick. I'm like, do you want Chipotle? He's like, I don't know what it is. I explained to him because I would pick Chipotle over McDonald's because that's how I roll. And McDonald's now, when I grew up, the rumor was it was seaweed burgers. Now it's llama burgers, according to my kids. I don't know if that's true because I don't keep up with it. But anyways, you understand what I'm saying. So we walked back outside, and I told the gentleman, his name was Francisco. I said, Francisco, I said, we're believers in Jesus Christ. And because of that, we want to offer this in his name. And because of that, I got the biggest burger they had and the biggest Coke they had and the biggest fries. And if there's anything else you want, I'll go get it for you. And he said, I so appreciate it. He said, this is more than enough for me. And he said, I also believe in Jesus. And I said, great. Had a great talk. We prayed for him. But I think that the way we serve others actually says a lot about what we believe about Jesus and how we think about Jesus. And so it's our honor to serve, not our obligation. The next thing that I saw in this passage is that there's a difference when we're talking about work and serving. Slaves work, sons serve. And so John 13:3, Jesus knew the Father. Now this freaks me out. Like this, and I'm not going to preach, but it just freaks me out. Jesus, you know I'm going to preach. Shut up. You know we're both lying to each other. Anyways, Jesus knew that, watch this. Jesus knew the Father had given him authority over everything. What would you do if God gave you authority over everything? Because I know what I would do. I would call American Airlines and say, send me a 747 headed to Hawaii. That's where, after the Hurricane Lane gets out of there, obviously, I'm not crazy. Like we can wait like in Barbados or somewhere like Fiji. You know, but I know what I would be doing if, like, are you with me? Jesus said, God has given me authority over everything, and so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up a towel and serve. Like, there's a picture of the kingdom. And it goes on to say, he knew that he had come from God. In other words, sons serve. Here's the whole thing of the kingdom. Slaves work, sons serve. It's about identity, not duty, right? Slaves have a duty to serve. Sons serve out of their identity. You see, it's not an obligation, it's an honor. It's not a duty, it's just who we are. Sons serve. And we want our passion for Jesus to be seen in the way we serve other people. We want people to look at the way we serve and think, those people must love them some Jesus. Because we're sons. It's not a duty. It's who we are. It's our identity. Sons and daughters of God. And it's not an obligation. Slaves work. You know, we have an opportunity. We have the honor of serving. We have the honor of showing people the love of Jesus through our actions, activities, and our deeds. Like, we called it the serve team because serving to me is the highest value of the kingdom. And I want you to understand, I'm not asking you to work here. I'm asking you to let the world see Jesus in how you serve here. Are you with me? So I want to give you the what, why, and how, because we think you got to have the what, why, and how of everything. Otherwise, you don't know why we're doing anything. So what is the what? Well, very simply, the what is we're going to serve. That's what the serve team does. What is the what? Well, the serve team serves. That's very plain and simple. That's why we did it that way. Jesus said, I've given you an example. And then he said this, do as I have done to you. So it's very simple. Jesus has asked us out of the honor of the kingdom and the value of the kingdom and out of the identity that we have in Christ as sons and daughters, he said, hey, I want you to serve. We're like, hey, if Jesus asked us to serve, really he didn't ask, he commanded. But since we're under grace and I don't want to offend anybody, and you already serve, so he commanded us to serve, we're good with it. So the what, here's the why. And I want you to hear this statement. We took a lot of time with this because we wanted one rallying cry of why. Because we know a lot of whys we serve. Like we serve people into the kingdom. When we serve, it changes us, right? It helps us find identity, find purpose, understand our calling, understand our giftings. Like those, I can preach forever about why you should serve. But here was what I saw from John 13. And this is what the staff came up to as we worked on it. We serve because we simply want to make a difference. We serve because we want to make a difference, right? Think about this. Philippians said that Jesus, when he came to the earth, listen, this freaked me out too. It's been in the Bible my whole life, but when you think about things the right way or think about things you really hadn't thought, and then you see it, you're like, right? Jesus, it says, took the form of a servant. I thought about that. Jesus could have taken any form. He could have taken the form of a king. He is the king, right? He was crucified for saying he was a king. The king of the Jews, right? They made fun of him for saying he's a king. He could have taken the form of a king and whooped everybody. And he will when he comes back. Like he's coming on a white horse. He has a tattoo. Like he is for real. It says he has a name written on his thigh. I'm telling you, he's got a tattoo. Right? The religious crowd's like, oh my God, Ethel, get your purse. One of those churches. One of those cults. Anyways, he's got a tattoo. Anyways, but listen, when he comes back, he's coming back with a sword. And his sword comes out of his mouth. I don't even know how that works, but that's what John saw. And I'm just going to go with what he said. But I'm saying when he came the first time, and this is why some people never could, even Jews still couldn't ever see it was him. He could take any form. Think about this. His mission, save the world. Wouldn't you think he would choose the most effective form? Right? Mission, save the world. What's the most effective form that I can take to save the world? He took the form of a servant, humbling himself. He said the most effective way for me to make a difference is not to come as a conquering king, but it's to come as a humble servant. I think about it this way, like there's, Satan's always getting ready for the showdown because he thinks he and Jesus are equals because he's delusional. Because he's arrogant. Arrogance is always delusional. And so I thought about this. It's like two gladiators that are about to step into the ring and fight. And so Satan is like, oh yeah, you coming to earth, big boy? Come on, bring. And Satan picks up wooden beams and spikes and a whip and a hammer. And he arms himself out of this arsenal and says, bring it, Jesus, bring it. And I think Jesus looked at him and thought, huh? And he looked at the arsenal and then he looked over and saw a towel. He said, I think I'll beat you with that. And so Jesus picked up a towel and said, I'll show you how to take over a world. I don't need a sword. I don't need a spear, a shield, or a dagger. I'll take over this world that you've tried to claim. I'll take it back with that towel. So when Jesus wanted to make a difference, he served. And so that is now we're difference makers. What's the greatest way I can make a difference? Serve. What's the greatest way I can make a difference? Serve. And so then we want to talk about how we're going to serve, because it's important not just to know what we're going to do. It's not important to know just why we're going to do it, but to us the how is important. So we spent a lot of time on this. And so we said, hey, serve team, difference makers, and this is what we came up with for how we're going to make a difference, or how we're going to serve really, is keep it 110. Let me explain what that means. There was this phrase, I don't know if it's still cool or not because I'm not cool. I've accepted it. I'm okay. I'm in Longview, Texas. I don't have to be cool. We're rednecks. I shoot stuff. That's all. And so anyways, but there was this phrase, keep it 100. And I was talking to the staff and said, what I want to teach us about when we think we're going to serve, and it's the highest value of the kingdom, and it's our honor, and it comes out of our identity, then what I want us to think is then the only way we could serve is above and beyond the way anybody else could serve. Like what Jesus did was above and beyond, right? And so I thought about it and I thought, you know what? Whatever the norm is, that wouldn't be good enough. Whatever the expectation is, that wouldn't be enough. I mean, if we're really serving as a value of the kingdom, whatever is required, that wouldn't be enough. If we're really going to serve and it's really a kingdom value and it comes out of our identity and it is an honor to do it and we really believe serving is the difference maker and when we serve we are difference makers, then what we do is we go above anything that could even be expected. Right? And so what I want to, this is like the biggest challenge to think, keep it 100%, that's like all you got. We're asking you to serve at 110% every time, every person, every weekend, every service. 110%. 110%. Here's what I know. If you've been to churches, it's kind of like going to Chinese buffets. If you've been to one, you kind of know what to expect at the rest of them, right? And unfortunately, a lot of churches serve like the lady at the Chinese buffet in that she stands by the buffet and says, well, just help yourself. Hey, good to see you. Hey, get what you want, right? I don't eat at Chinese buffets. Number one, they scare me. Number two, I don't think MSGs are good for you, even though they're probably in a lot of other things I eat, but I don't want you to tell me because I don't care. But you know where I like to go if I get to pick? There's a restaurant I go to, Julie and I go to. And I like that restaurant. One of the things I like here, let me explain it. So picture this. Over here we have the Chinese buffet. And so there's a lot of people, how we serve at church. Well, we're supposed to say hi, supposed to hand them a bulletin. Hi, bulletin, hi. And we feel like, well, this is serving the way you're supposed to serve at church. And what I'm saying is, what if there was a church that didn't serve like the other churches, but created a new level of service unparalleled by any other church? I'll tell you a story before I get back to the lady at the Chinese buffet. Julie and I went to a conference one time at a church, and I wanted to go to this church because it was a church of like 30-something thousand people. And the main campus, they had several different campuses. The main campus was in this town of 27,000 people, but that campus ran 8,000 people. So they were a third the size of our city, but 3 times bigger than any church in our city, than the largest church in our city. And I thought, I got to figure this out, right? Can I tell you, like the speaker was very charismatic. He was a really good speaker, right? Really good. Really, I liked him. Their worship to me wasn't anything over the top. In fact, Julie and I, and we weren't trying to be judgmental, but we're just trying, like I'm trying to figure it out. Like I want to reach as many people as I can. I got one life and I got one commission. Right? So I got X amount of time to do this commission. So to me, how many people can I reach? That's what I want to know, right? So like we're watching this, and the worship was good. The technological part of it and all that was good. But to us, I'm like, man, there's a lot more anointed worship. And I don't mean that in a bad way, but we were kind of talking like, you know, it's good, but it's not like it's blowing our minds. And I'll even tell you this, the speaker was awesome, you know. But I'm going to tell you the one thing that blew our minds. Their guest experience team. It's unparalleled to anything I've ever experienced at any church I've been before or since. They were in the parking lots, high-fiving us, asking us our names, asking us where we're from, showing us in, signing us up for stuff, offering to get us coffee. And then when we ran into them later, they still seemed to know our names. It's like, it was weird. I'm like, you're a stalker. Get away from me, Satan. But I mean, they're out there kind of like we were tonight. I mean, think about this. Them standing out there with signs almost seems silly. And I stood out there for a while because I thought it was awesome. But did it not put a smile and think, well, I'm ready to get in there and see what's going on? By the way, we have a new team called the Pop Sign Team. You can sign up tonight for this weekend. So if that's where your heart is, make sure you see Arian or Lauren or Maria or somebody, whoever's out there, you see them and you sign up for the Pop Sign Team, right? And but you get signed up for them. But didn't it kind of change the way you came in? Right? And that's what we noticed. Like they're out in the parking lot. Whoa, what's your name? Marty, Longview Tank. Oh, we're glad to have you. Come on with me. And all of a sudden it's like, well, we're best friends. I just got here. And what I'm saying is that to me was the big difference between that church and any other church I'd been to. And that might explain why this one campus in a city of 27,000 people was running 8,000, and they had another campus 20 minutes away that was running 7,000. I'm saying it makes a difference. It makes a difference. Let me tell you the difference. Here's the lady at Chinese buffet. She can be nice, right? And so here's whoever at Chinese buffet. Hey, hi, help yourself. Hey, good to see you, help yourself. Okay, that's one style of service. But there's a restaurant Julie and I like to go to. And this one, like the waiters will ask, they'll find out your name. They'll call you by your name, Mr. Straight, Mr. Straight. Right? If you get crumbs on your table, they have one of those things where they're immediately there to get the crumbs off your table. Yeah. And you don't ever have to say, could I get something else to drink? Because once your drink gets, they're like, whoo, top you off. Right? And so to me, now if I'm just picking an experience I'd like to have, well, I like that. I feel special. Yes, they charge me 12 times what the other place, but I'm like, I'll pay it. Because I feel important all of a sudden. Hey, how important does God want people to feel when they walk in a church? And so here's what I'm saying is, what if we offered a level of service that's unparalleled? And what if we thought about the best experience we could offer people? And what if when someone came in, we just didn't say, hey, and a worship guide or something like that, but we said, hey, I'm Marty. What's your name? I'm Bob. Hey, Bob, I haven't met you. How long have you been coming? By the way, if you're on guest experience, how long have you been coming is how you ask if they're new. Don't ask if they're new. Ask how long they've been coming. Because they may have been here 6 months and now they feel bad because you didn't know them, right? So let me help you with the secret question. How long have you been coming? Right? By the way, I had to learn this one because I meet people all the time I don't know that have been coming 6 months. Right? I met a guy in the gym the other day, and he's like, hey, we visited the church. And I'm like, great, how long you been coming? It's like, well, we don't come that often. Great, man, come see. Anyways, my point is, how long you been coming? So you meet, Bob. Hey, Bob, Marty, how long you been coming? Man, it's our first time. Man, I'm so glad you're here. I'm so glad I got to meet you. Bob, it looks like you got some kids there. You're probably going to be interested in our children's ministry. How about I walk you to where we check the kids in and make sure you have everything you need. And if you want, I will walk you to the kids' classrooms. Now, is Bob going to remember that level of service? Over like, hey, there's kids ministry up there. Oh, yonder. Good head, Bob. He's not going to remember that. He's going to think, man, that guy's weird. Right? And so here's what I'm saying. What if we will default to whatever we think status quo or norm is. So keep it 100. Here's what it means. When you go default, here's what normal greeting, normal hospitality, then here's what we're saying. Nope, whatever you're defaulting to, that's not it. Jump it up from there. Give me at least another 10% up from there, right? Don't just shake their hand, find out their name. Like you see a single mom come through there, a single mom should never have to get to kids ministry by herself. Like one of the people that had the greatest impact on my wife is I served on staff at a church, and there was this one usher every weekend. And this was her favorite, probably to this day still her favorite person, Brad. And Brad would come out to the car because Julie get there and I'm in there being a pastor. And Brad knew it. And he would watch for her car and he would go out to her car and get the diaper bags and help her with the kids and help her get them into the church. And she all the time was like, I love that guy. He's my favorite. It started feeling threatened a little bit. I was like, hey, honey, I got a job. Anyways, But I'm just saying, what if we said what Keep It 110 means is that whatever we think is good service, we're going to explore what we could do beyond that. Can I tell you something that I think the lady at the Chinese buffet hasn't thought through all the way? Is that every person that walks into that restaurant needs something. Can I help you with something? Every person who's going to walk through those doors this weekend needs something. Even if they've been here for 5 years, they need something. And it could be as simply as they need a seat. But it could be as big as they need to meet Jesus. And sometimes we don't know which one it is. And in between, they may need coffee. They may need kids ministry. They may need to know where the restroom is. But I can tell you this. Sometimes I think we think, if they need something, they'll let me know. Let me give you a new way of thinking. Keep it 100. My job is to find out not if they need something. I know they would only show up if they needed something. My job is to find out what they need as soon as possible and help them get it. And if that's, hey, Bob, how are you? Hey, man, good to see you. Hey, it's good to see you again. What can I help you with? What are you looking for? Well, we just need a seat. Great. If you'll head right to that door, there's Sally. She's going to greet you at the door, and she's going to hand you off to Jim, and Jim's going to find you a seat. So good to have you. Now he knows not what he's doing, but he knows who he's looking for. What would it do to a lost person or even people that have had bad church experiences if they showed up to that kind of stuff? Oh, hey, Jim, you're new here. Hey, you have no kids, nothing? You need the restroom, nothing? Need coffee? No, we're just looking for a place to sit down. Come on, I'll just walk you into the auditorium. I'll introduce you to one of our ushers. Our ushers will help get you seated. What if we treated every person like they came in, like they didn't know the Lord, and how we served them was going to make the difference? Because it actually does. I'll read you one review. This couple's actually here, so I won't say their names. But this is what a win looks like, right? This one blew me away because I was so proud. And I don't know who the Dream Team people are, but if you recognize this story, you're my favorite. This was a review. It said, where to begin? From the moment we stepped out of our car, a nice couple greeted us in the parking lot. More incredibly, nice people met us at the door and showed us to where we could check in our son. Once at kids check-in, the ladies were incredibly friendly and walked us to our room. Now, that's what she said. This was huge for us. No one new wants to be pointed where to go. Right? She introduced us to the nursery worker who was, again, the sweetest woman ever. Then they finally made it to the service, right? So think about their experience was set before they got in this room, right? It won't matter how compelling I can present the gospel if they didn't have a good experience getting into this room, right? Won't matter how anointed our worship team is. If their guard is now up and they're like, oh my God, this was horrible, right? So anyway, I just want you to see it. Worship was powerful and anointed, and Pastor Marty did good on his message. I'll just go to there. Well, it says more than that, but I'm not going to brag. Anyways. Just kidding. So, anyways, it says, it's just one sentence. I'm playing with you guys. Anyways, but listen to this. The following Sunday, we came back. Well, obviously, right? After that experience and being treated that way and taken to the room and sweet people showing you around, obviously you'd try it again. Came back, and that incredibly sweet, listen to this, nursery worker was sitting across the way from us. She got up and came and said good morning to us by name and asked us how our son was doing by name. Moving to a new city/state, you never know how hard it can be to find a home church, but we're beyond excited to now call Pathway our home. That's what you guys do. That, I can't do what you do. You may not be able to do what I do. That's okay, because I can't do what you do. But when we go at it and we say, hey, we're going to serve to make a difference, and we're going to go above whatever we think is acceptable or above whatever we think the norm is, we're going to go above it. We're going to keep it 110. Those are the types of wins that we have. And that's what you guys do. And I love you and think you're awesome. So here's what we're going to do, right? I'm going to pause right now, and actually PJ's coming back with our staff. And what we did is we realized we have a lot of people that already keep it 110. So we came up with the Keep It 110 Awards. And so to get a Keep It 110 award, you were nominated by the staff and voted and approved by the staff because we said these people go above and beyond every time. And so for those who have already won the Keep It 110, you're leaving here tonight with a Visa gift card. And so we're going to give out a lot of Visa gift cards right now. And then I'll be back to tell you what you get for free before you leave. All right? Hey, thank you so much. Give yourselves another hand.